Kanu's way, and Dehui's right out of the centre. It's Kanu, what's he going to do? Oh! Can you believe it?
Hello, Arsenal fans, and welcome back to a new episode of Can You Believe It, an Arsenal podcast or video stream, what you ever want to call it. And well, this is going to be a new adventure for the podcast. And just because we have a new guest here, a new regular guest, so I'm not riding it solo anymore. So please welcome Wayne from Wayne's World 20s channel.
Hello.
And he is joining the circus of talking about Arsenal. So welcome.
I don't know what we've signed up for here, mate, to be honest with you. But it's going to be a bumpy ride. At least you don't have to go through it alone anymore, I guess.
Yeah, like we can suffer together now. Yeah, like most Arsenal fans will be able to suffer together, so we might as well be doing it on a podcast where loads of people could be listening and suffering together. So
yeah, for sure. And I know we've spoke for ages on like Twitter and stuff, and I know we've got a lot of not always different opinions, but a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to Arsenal. So I'm sure we'll cover as many bases as possible moving forward with this. But I'm glad to be involved. Thanks for getting me involved, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you on board. So let's get this started. So going forward, we're going to be doing preview and review shows of every game. Depending on how we do in the cups, we might not do the Carabao Cups because, I mean, there's not much preview we can do of it.
To be fair, those may be our only wins this season.
Yeah.
So we might have to do all of the Carabao Cups.
Yeah, to be fair, you might be right on that one. So yeah, but I didn't do one for the West Brom game just because
you're the jinx then. You're the jinx. We won the West Brom game and you didn't do a podcast. So you there's a common denominator there.
Yeah, so blame me if we lose against Norwich this weekend. So I will be accepting receipts on Twitter for all that defeat, that lovely defeat we'll suffer. But no, we'll be doing reviews and previews of every game, which will be great. And we will be trying to discuss as much as Arsenal as possible. Hopefully, it will be much more enjoyable than the first three games of scoring none and conceding 9.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So we have a sort of agenda for the podcast, and we're going to talk about EDU. I guess his comments came out this week about some comments, and then we'll get into some other stuff as well about internationals, and then the actual full Norwich preview.
Yeah, so Arsenal are back this weekend, so
yeah, I mean, why watch Cristiano Ronaldo make his re-debut at Manchester United when you can watch Arsenal struggle to get 2 shots on target against Norwich at home?
Hey, to be fair, forget Ronaldo. This one is a relegation 6-pointer, 19th versus 20th. So we got the big game. We got the big game this weekend.
Yeah, wait, is it Sky Sports that do the was it the Saturday match pick at the end of the day?
Yeah,
match choice.
Yeah. It depends on. So it could be a bad thing if we're on match choice, because I assume we'll only be on match choice if Norwich win. And
well, we could be on match choice because we're going to win 5-0. Come on, keep the faith. Yeah,
no,
so
it's Sky. If we win 5-0, they're putting Ronaldo on. It doesn't matter. They'll put us on if we lose. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so before we get into the Norwich stuff, we'll talk about Edu's comments. So obviously he came out this week and spoke about the strategy of our transfer business this summer, and I think literally everyone and their child knew what our strategy business was. Everyone except Gary Neville, it seems. So it was a pretty self-explanatory sort of strategy. I thought it was targeting young players and trying to build for 3 to 4 seasons rather than right now. But he explained it as well. There were sort of some juicy comments in there, especially about maybe Granit Xhaka, about how he's an important member of the side and how we couldn't upgrade on him, which I don't particularly believe. But what are your thoughts on the whole interview in general?
I just thought it was a little bit predictable. I thought it was a little bit scripted, and I guess we can't really complain because as Arsenal fans, we've been asking for that transparency for a while, haven't we? We've been asking for the board to give us explanations and give us sort of reasons as to why they're doing this and why they're not doing that. And I appreciated the fact that he came out and spoke up, and I thought he spoke quite well. But it's at least the second time he's done this now, since he's been in charge. He did one, I think he done one last year maybe, or the year before. Can't remember. It might have been when he first took over, but it's at least the second time, maybe a third time that he's done this, and nothing ever seems to change, or it doesn't seem to mean anything. It's just like, well, we done it for this reason, and okay, we'll just get on with our days then. But it doesn't really mean anything. What did you think?
So I've been on record to say that I've liked the strategy this summer, just because I've liked us targeting younger players, even if I don't think we've targeted all starters. Like, I think it's fair to say Sambi, for example, he's not started straight away, or Tavares is just purely a backup. Ramsdale, he's not going to be a starter straight away.
Yeah,
I liked the transparency that he presented of the strategy, but it did seem a bit like scripted. And I know Arsenal fans have been asking for years for some kind of accountability and some messaging, and I think I appreciated that, even if I didn't agree with a lot of it, and some of it did worry me, like I mentioned before we started discussing this topic in general about Granit Xhaka. And those comments about how he didn't upgrade him, which are not entirely true. Like, Arsenal spent half the summer trying to sell him, and they didn't sell him. So I do think it's a bit of a. It was necessary. I think fans needed to hear it, but would he have done that if Arsenal didn't lose their first 3 games as badly as they did?
Yeah, and it was a little bit PR, weren't it? Like just putting up like a front to make things, I guess, feel or look a little bit better than they were. I think one of my major problems with what he said was, fair enough, I can get on board with the strategy, signing under, most of our signings were under 24, weren't they, or something like that. I can get on board with signing them, I can get on board with the type of profiles that they're signing, and I can get on board with thinking about this as like in a couple of years or whatever. The problem for me is their actions in terms of who's already at the club. Like you mentioned, Xhaka doesn't fit into that sort of profile and mold. So surely, if you're going to commit to buying a project youth, in my opinion, you kind of have to commit to it throughout the club. Not only with like Xhaka, we've seen bids for like Lacazette rejected, and he's another person who we don't seem to have a future for this, like moving beyond this season, which I completely agree with. But because we've not signed a striker, we know that Lacazette's going to play big minutes, and I don't agree with that. If you're going for Project Youth and you want this sort of reset, and I guess whether you want to call it a culture change or whether you want to call it a mindset change or refresh, whatever you want to call it, I just think you kind of have to commit to it all in and not be, all right, well, we'll do it for players coming in, but the players going out, we want to hang on to you.
Yeah, because I think that was one thing that he didn't mention at all, was the outgoings. I think he was a bit hesitant to mention them at all. Like, and he was very hesitant on mentioning where the goals are, the like for this season. So basically, there's no goals. Like, if Arsenal were to finish 8th again this season, then they can't go back to that interview, which I guess is smart, but is also worrying, because it's just like, well, if they have no goals, what's the idea? Like, what's the
point of what's the point of the season?
Yeah, exactly. And my only thing is, again, like I said, I appreciate the strategy, but this should have happened when Arteta came in. I don't know why they waited till now to do it, because I think fans would have been a lot more forgiving if it happened in year one of Arteta. I think a lot of fans would have been like, okay, we've got a rookie coach, we need some signings, let's go into youth. We know we're not good now, let's go and blow it up and start it again. And obviously you can't do it like in NBA. You can tank and you can get like good drafts, you can get cap space and everything, but in football you obviously need results right now, and so there is a balance that needs to be struck. And I guess that leads on to the experienced players, because obviously we sign these young players, they are, for all intents and purposes, good young players. Well, we hope they're going to be as well, especially like Ben White, Odegaard, and Ramsdale. Hopefully, Sambi looks really exciting. But it's the experienced players that have got to be guiding them along this path. And I mean, do you trust those experienced players? Because I know my answer is
no, not at all. And we've not been able to trust them for 3 seasons now. This is now like the 3rd manager that they're underperforming for. Like, they underperformed when Wenger finished. That whole, I completely agree that he was sort of past his date as such, but those players didn't take enough responsibility for that. What was it, 6 months without an away win in his final season? Like, they didn't get anywhere near as much criticism about that. And a lot of those players are still here. Emery, for all of his sort of negatives and his criticism, he paid the price with his job. But a lot of those players still remained after Emery left. And I just think that, while I think we've, like you said, I think we've signed well. And I think the players that we've brought in are the right profile at the right sort of price points and the right areas in the team, although I would have liked a centre mid, and I would have probably liked an attacker as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I just think you just have to commit to it all. You can't be sort of half-hearted. You can't decide, well, Xhaka's worth this much, and we're not necessarily gonna sell him if he's not part of like a long-term future, because now we've kind of handcuffed ourselves into keeping him for at least another 3 seasons.